For years, I've been using the Kreg Mini pocket hole jig to drill my pocket holes. It's a great introductory tool. It's got a low price point, and it works good, but it's a little bit slow. So you can only drill one at a time, and you got to clamp the jig to do it. Recently, I upgraded to the Kreg K5 pocket hole jig. This thing is a lot nicer and a lot faster, and it has dust collection. I've yet to use it on a project, but I will pretty soon. But before we do that, I need to make a few minor upgrades. That's what this video is about. So I hope you stay tuned and watch. Let's get started. We're going to mount our K5 jig to this piece of 1-inch oak. This is just a piece of a stair tread I had. You've seen me use them in other videos. And I'm starting by sanding it lightly. Now I'm ripping another piece of the 1-inch oak to use as a nose on the front of the base plate. We'll give it a light sanding as well. We're going to use some glue and then some finish nails to attach this piece to the base plate. This works as a stop so that it references against my workbench. Now I'm finding the center of the base plate so that I can mount the K5. I'm just using some pocket screws to mount it to the base. They work well because they have a flat bottom underneath the head. I'm making my own wooden knobs to hold the base plate to the tabletop. First, I use my compass to draw a 3-inch round circle, and then I bisect that circle, making 8 equal pieces. Now with a 3/4 inch Forstner bit on the drill press, I'm drilling a hole everywhere one of those sections bisects the outer ring. And then it's over to the bandsaw to cut them out. And then the stationary sander cleans up the flat spots, followed by the oscillating drum sander to clean up the edges. I need to ease the edge of each of these knobs. I've just put a 1/4 inch roundover bit in my router, and I'll put the knob on top of a single bench cookie to hold it from scooting, and I'll round over both edges. I need to make this hole square so that the shoulder of my carriage bolt locks into it. Now just put a fender washer and a nut on it and tighten it down. I've drilled a recess in the bottom so that everything countersinks flush. At the very beginning, we added the piece of oak on the front of the base plate so that it would reference against the edge of the workbench. But we need to make a stop block to reference it left to right. Here I've glued up a couple of pieces of oak, and now I'm going to screw them onto the workbench. And then to make them a little taller, I'm gluing another piece on top, and then finishing it up with some brads. And that's our left to right stop. With the base plate against the stops, I'm locating and drilling a couple of holes through it and the workbench. These blocks are going to hold the T-nut that our knob screws into. First, I got to find the center of each one. On the drill press, I'm drilling a hole through the thick blocks the same size as the barrel of the T-nut. Now on the thinner ones, I'm drilling a slightly larger hole. This will allow the bolt to pass through without any interference. And then I use a Forstner bit to countersink the T-nut a little bit. Here's the T-nut with prongs. It's pounded into the thicker block, but I don't trust it to hold itself, so That's why I made the thin block that'll fit over it to capture it. With a little glue and some brads, we'll permanently affix the T-nut between the blocks. And here's how the knob threads in. We need to mount the block beneath the workbench. So, reaching one hand under with the block, I thread the knob through the workbench into the block and tighten it. With the block held tight against the bottom of the workbench, I pre-drill and countersink some holes. And now, using some drywall screws, I secure the block to the underside of the workbench through the top. And when I unthread the knob, the block is still affixed on the bottom. And here it is in action. When butted against the workbench in the horizontal stop, the knobs line up perfectly and tighten down. Let's swoop into the walnut vault underneath the workbench and take a look at the bottom side. There's our threaded blocks. Well, let's look at this again from another angle. I could watch this all day. I've cut a short piece of dust collector hose, and with an adapter it hooks right into the Kreg jig. Turning on my dust collector with the remote, I can clamp a piece of wood in the Kreg jig and quickly drill 2 holes. Well, I'm super pleased at how good this turned out. I love how sturdy it is and how when you bump it up against those fixed stops, these knobs just fall right into place, and I really like the knobs. It's the first time I've made wooden knobs, and it turned out really good, and believe me, I'll be making those some more. I really love how this new Kreg jig works. This video was not going to be about how to use this jig, because there's lots of videos out there on that already, including videos from Kreg themselves. So watch those if you need to know how to use it. I was just trying to make it more usable and easier to use, where you can stow it away when you're not using it, but when you do bring it out to use it, you don't have to try to find a place to clamp it down. You have the threaded inserts already in your tabletop where these just lock into place. You can use it, take it off, put it back, really, really quick and easy. So I appreciate you watching the video. If you haven't yet, I would please ask you to please subscribe by hitting this button right here. And if you would like to see some of my other videos, there'll be some links right down below me here. So please check those out, and I appreciate you watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.